I'm Brett, and I've developed a new, simple, modern spiritual philosophy. And in this series of videos, I'd like to tell you all about it. So stay tuned, and if you like what you're hearing, tell other people about it, comment, ask me questions, and we'll go forward from there. Thank you very much. Hi, and welcome back. I'm Brett, and today is going to be a sort of summary episode of the content that I've put out so far, which in many respects is the sort of core content of You Know Yourself. And this episode is going to be, like I say, both a summary, and then from this point we're going to pivot to something else where I'm going to start sort of critiquing what I've put as the core content and trying to sort of identify some of the sticky points, the points that need sort of addressing. And I'm going to do that hopefully in a relatively unique way, but we'll address that in the next episode. But first of all, let's summarize some of the things that I've said. So, to recap, body, mind, soul, and spirit, they are four elements of us as a human being. We have our body for doing, we have our mind for understanding, we have our soul so we can be aware of our feelings, our inner feelings and our emotions, and we have our spirit so that we can choose. It is the tool with which we use for choosing. Simply understanding that isn't just the point of what I'm getting at. It's more the point is that they are four elements of our being that would function better and would be more productive if we exercised them and used them. And we have things that we have things that we can use to exercise them. We have movement for the body. We have language for the mind. We have art for the soul to exercise feelings. And we have simply the recognition of choice to exercise our ability to choose. If it was just about defining them, then I would have stopped quite early on in the definitions of what body, mind, soul, and spirit are. But I wanted to go on to explain what potentially are things that we can use to exercise them so that they can function. Which then leads us into a recap of the cycle of disempowerment. I'm looking down here because I've got some notes to help me. The cycle of disempowerment is a continuous cycle that goes round, and it sort of stays still and we move around within it. We have leaders that offer the cure to life's problems, situations, the answer. They offer the answer. To implement those answers, they create institutes that are made up of physical entities and conceptual entities. They create schools, police systems, health systems, and each one of those has its own concepts within it to help implement the answers as put forward by the leader. All of those institutes, including their concepts, have implications that they are making to the followers. Those implications all coalesce to create three critical mass paradigms. Critical mass because they affect enough of the people to affect all of the people, and critical mass because they affect enough of your being to affect all of your being, your body, mind, soul, and spirit. Those three critical mass paradigms are not enough, the other, and fixed finite. For a clearer definition of those, go back to my previous material and check that out. Suffering from those three critical mass paradigms, not enough, the other, fixed finite, because they do make us suffer certain symptoms, we want relief from those symptoms, so we go looking for an answer. And so we find, and there is offered to us, leaders with the cure to the symptoms. So we just go around in that cycle of disempowerment. Here's a leader that offers a cure. Here's the way to live out that cure. By living out that cure, we suffer from the three critical mass paradigms. Suffering from that, we go looking for an answer again. So we just cycle around it. The point being to all of this is that the definitions of body, mind, soul, and spirit, and the definition of the cycle of disempowerment aren't really two separate topics. They are interconnected. The cycle of disempowerment is, in some respects, the diagnosis of what's happening in society, and maybe my definitions of body, mind, soul, and spirit, and the ability that we have to exercise those to keep them strong, to help them function effectively, is in some respects maybe a treatment to that diagnosis, which could be seen as another cure. Again, I'm going to address that in following episodes, so bear with me on that one. The cycle of disempowerment disempowers us. There's no other way to put this. I know I've used that word and will keep using that word. It disempowers us from effectively knowing and exercising and being empowered to use our body, mind, soul, and spirit. And yes, all of this sounds relatively simple. That's kind of the point. In many respects, this is a beginner's guide to body, mind, soul, and spirit and societal issues. It's purposely not complicated. No, that's not fair. I noticed it wasn't complicated when I'd finished putting it all down. These are observations I'm making. And again, I'm aware that I'm just making observations is something that could be seen as something that I'm sort of hiding behind, because when it gets critiqued, I could say, well, I'm just making observations. And that, again, will be addressed in future episodes. So again, for now, I might just ask you just to park any critiques about that until later, which I will fully address, because anything that I'm coming up with needs critiquing and it needs stress testing, and I'm going to do that. It's quite possible that what I'm saying is that through the cycle of disempowerment, because we're not using our body, mind, soul, and spirit as effectively and efficiently as it could be used, ultimately that's the symptom that we suffer from, that we go looking for an answer for. And that's why the material has sort of two halves to it. This definition of what the issue is, the cycle of disempowerment, and the definition of what we already have, which we may not be using as effectively and efficiently as possible, and what we're not exercising and keeping strong, which is our body, mind, soul, and spirit. Is exercising our body, mind, soul, and spirit the answer? Am I offering an answer? Again, that will be addressed later on in future episodes that are coming very soon. That is a very real critique and something that I have struggled with and want to be able to frame and own openly, which I will be doing and have already thought about. And as I say, we'll be doing in future episodes. So if that's of interest to you, if you've already had that idea of, this sounds like another answer that somebody's putting forward, despite the fact that he's saying it's not an answer, and despite the fact that he's highlighting that a leader giving the answer is disempowering, stay with me, because that will be addressed in future episodes. So yeah, for now, I just wanted to give that brief summary. We have the cycle of disempowerment, which is disempowering people. We have the ability to exercise and strengthen our body, mind, soul, and spirit. And the two things are connected because the cycle of disempowerment is weakening our body, mind, soul, and spirit. And it's happening, and we're all subject to it, me included. I'm not saying that I'm above this. I'm not saying that I am somehow superior or better. Very far from it. I'm observing what's going on, and I'm trying to point to it to bring some awareness to it so that people can make their own choice about it. So thank you for staying with me so far. And I'm hoping that in the next episodes that come out, I can start addressing some of the tensions and possible weak points, or some of the elements that need stress testing about the core elements that I've put forward so far, and to invite conversation about it, because what I'm putting forward, although I'm putting forward some ideas that appear pretty fixed, the application of them isn't necessarily fixed. And I'm certainly not, and I'm pretty clear that I'm not trying to give a destination that you should get to by engaging with this core material that I've written so far. There isn't some promise of, if you exercise your body, mind, soul, and spirit, you will then become this sort of person. That's certainly not for me to define, and that's not what I'm offering. That will be entirely up to you. But yeah, if you found this material interesting so far, then the sort of phase 2 of this series of videos is going to be me, hopefully in an innovative, interesting, new way, sort of challenging myself and challenging what I've created and challenging the core ideas that I've put down so far, and like I say, sort of stress testing them. So yeah, if you like what you've heard so far, subscribe, all that stuff. You know what to do. We're all social media savvy. You all know what to do. And I will see you in the following episodes. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye bye.